The Dead Pair Podcast is energized by KL Ammo, Gamebore US.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Mattera Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovich.
That's a net positive.
Brad Kidd.
Corey Cruz. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason Rambo
One more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Christmas.
Let's do it!
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
What's up, Mr. Large and in charge?
Oh, I'm still digging that new intro, man. Toby did a hell of a job on that,
Didn't he? Him and his wife.
Yes, him and his wife, and thank you guys for doing that, man. That is just awesome, and being getting a lot of good feedback off of that.
So in between playing with all your flyers and banners and stuff, have you gotten to any shooting done or?
Not much. Did that Airport Ridge tournament most recently is the most recent thing that I've done. Sorry. But fall's upon us, man. You get up in the morning, it's a little crisper. Starting to get those smells in the air. You can the corn and the beans are starting to turn.
You know this is unrelatable to anybody south of Kentucky.
I know, but hey, this is where we're at, so that's what we're talking about.
Right.
But not too far along, it's going to be cold and snowy and all that stuff. So
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Are you going to nationals?
Yes and no.
I just need to know, because if you're not going, I got to have that T-shirt made. I'm gonna have a big I'm gonna have a T-shirt made with big letters on it said that he couldn't make it.
You'll find out soon enough.
Okay. All right. So listen, tonight we're talking to Mr. Robert Crow from
Yes.
White Flyer.
White Flyer. Everybody shoots and breaks those targets, and we don't really think a whole lot about it. But there's a lot behind that company and what they do.
Yeah. They've got the product that everybody loves to blow up.
Yeah, and they're happy to sell it to you.
Honestly, I don't think. Well, I know there's not a club, at least that I'm aware of here in Ohio, that doesn't throw White Flyer targets at a registered shoot.
Yeah.
And you go to the nationals, you go to any regional, they're all White Flyer targets. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, why don't we talk more about them? Because they're just targets?
I think so. I think we just take it for granted, man. I mean,
I think we do.
They're the orange and the black and the yellow things that fly through the air and the rabbits that bounce on the ground, and it's just like most of the time you like them when they break, and then the other times when you miss, you hate them.
Yes.
So, or you hate the trapper, or you hate the target setter. I mean, whatever. It's not
Right.
your fault that you missed, right?
It can't be.
No.
It's got to be my gun or the glasses or something, right? You got to blame it on something.
Exactly.
Right. But now you can't do that with all the stuff that we use. So
Definitely.
All right. Well, listen, let's get Mr. Crow on the phone and let's get some details from him on all of it, how they're made, everything, the whole 9 yards. Let's talk to him about it.
Can't wait.
Oh, wait. One more thing, Sean.
Yeah.
The NSCA, as everybody knows, for the national championship has developed the Super Squad. You remember Anthony was a big part of that.
Correct.
Now, the NSCA is going to record it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with highlights and interviews and everything else. Going to put it on their YouTube channel.
Well, who are they going to get to do that, Jason?
Hold on. I'm
Okay.
not done yet.
All right.
And then on Sunday, for, I guess you could say, the final, it's all going to be live.
Okay.
It's also going to be on our YouTube channel.
Nice.
And they have asked myself and Justin Barker to host it.
Yes.
So you're not allowed to be behind me with rabbit ears over my head and all that stuff.
Look, they got to catch me first.
Yes. That shouldn't be hard. And just knocking you down might be the hard part.
Right, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
No, anyway, this is something cool. And I think the NSCA is making a step in the right direction doing this.
Yeah.
I think this will be really cool. So, yeah, we'll see.
Also be interested to see you and Justin working side by side. So
I asked Justin on the phone here, I'm like, can we use an excuse as, camera adds 10 pounds, so there was like multiple cameras on us? He just started laughing. So
yeah, it'd be funny. I'll be watching from the sidelines, man. Hopefully everything goes well.
You better be. You better be. You might need to replace me at some point.
Oh, now come on. You got it. You got this.
Anyway, so yeah, everyone, it's going to be up on our YouTube channel. You can watch it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then, of course, live on Sunday. And so from what I understand, that's the way things are going to work. But, if you're there at the Nationals, man, I'm sure it's going to be a spectacle.
Should be really cool, honestly. If it goes off well and the way we're thinking, I think it'd be really cool.
I think so too. Well, hey, listen, on to our guest.
All right, it's our privilege to have Mr. Robert Crow from White Flyer joining us on the podcast this evening. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, fellas?
I bet you're busier than a one-legged bandit in a butt-kicking contest.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year for sure.
Well, Robert, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and what your official title is with White Flyer.
So I live in Chestertown, Maryland, on the eastern shore of Maryland. I'm the national sales director for White Flyer. I joined the company back in 2013. Before that, I was director of the National Sporting Clubs Association.
Awesome. Well, you guys have got to be really busy right now. I mean, you just got done with the Grand here not too long ago. I think you got World Skeet is just about over, or is it going on right now? And then you have the Nationals that are quickly coming up on us. So I'm sure you guys are slammed.
We are, yeah. And the summertime in general is very busy nationwide with clay target sales. And then coming into dove season, a lot of people are getting to the ranges, shooting recreationally. The World Skeet, the Mini World will start next weekend. And then just a few weeks later will be the National Championship. And on top of that, there's several regional sporting clays events going on right now. We just had a satellite grand trap shoot out in Kansas and numerous skeet shoots as well.
Gotcha. Well, Robert, let's back up a little bit and maybe give our listeners a little bit of information about White Flyer itself. Can you give us a little history, a little background about how White Flyer got started and why you guys are doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. So White Flyer actually was established in 1892. And it was in 1979 when Reagent Chemical, which currently owns White Flyer, purchased White Flyer from Olin Industries, which would be Winchester. And from that moment forward was kind of the change with White Flyer. White Flyer wasn't always the leader in the clay target game, but from that point in time, they moved a small plant that was being ran in New Jersey to our current facility that's in Cole Township, Pennsylvania. So that was the very first White Flyer manufacturing plant that was owned by Reagent Chemical. That would have been in 79. And then the clay target plant that was run by Winchester, we moved that from East Alton, Illinois to Webb City, Missouri. And we still operate that plant today as well. Moving further, we wanted to get on the West Coast, so we opened a plant in San Bernardino, California. At that point in time, Reagent purchased a clay target company that was on the West Coast called Eclipse Targets. So obviously you can see that we expanded rather quickly with having a plant in Pennsylvania, then in the middle of the country there at Webb City, Missouri, and then on the West Coast at San Bernardino.
Wow, that's impressive.
In 1981, White Flyer purchased the Eclipse Target plant in California, and we still operate out of that facility. That would be the San Bernardino plant. And then in 2006, we opened our Knox, Indiana facility, which definitely helped service the northern states. And then furthermore, in 2020, amongst COVID and everything, we opened our latest state-of-the-art facility in Dalton, Georgia.
Okay. So how many different varieties of targets do you have, Robert, like between your pitch and your bios and rabbits and all that kind of stuff?
We offer 36 different products currently. We have our pitch targets, which in pitch for the trap and skeet line, that would be our double A's. We offer 8 different colors. We have our pheasant line for sporting clays, which some people don't know the difference between a trap and skeet target and a sporting clays target. They're both 108 millimeters in diameter, but the pheasant target is approximately 5 grams heavier, and that's built within the throwing band to withstand the higher speeds that we use in sporting clay sometimes, as well as the different loading, with the Chandelle machines. It's just a little sturdier target.
Right.
We also offer rabbits, bat-2s, 90 millimeters, 70s, 60s in the pitch line, as well as the international targets that USA Shooting utilizes for whether it's bunker or international skeet. And of course, we also offer our crusher target. That would be the flash target in the 108 trap and skeet, as well as our international. And then we have the blackout line. And in that, we offer 3 different colors in the trap and skeet version. We call the sporting clays version the blackout sporter. We offer 3 different colors there, as well as 90 millimeter and the international targets in the blackout.
Very cool. Well, is there anything new being developed that maybe you can share with us, or even if you can't?
I can tell you that we're always working in the lab. Reagent purchased White Flyer from Winchester back in 1979, and we've had a research and development department ever since. From right at the beginning, where we redeveloped the target to add the dimples, which is the double A target today, to adding the biodegradable target in the late 90s, and the next generation into the blackout target here just a few years ago. So we're constantly working on it. Obviously, the world is constantly changing, and we are always looking for that next target, whether it's a composition of the target or also dimensionally, you know, what type of target it is. We worked with different machine manufacturers here in the States and abroad with, you know, new products that they may have coming, different ideas. There's been several that haven't worked out that, you know, but you got to try things to see what works.
Right. Well, I was just getting ready to ask you, Robert, I mean, what drives the development of a new target? Is it simply that you guys are coming up with new things that you think shooters want? Or are you hearing things from, you know, the throwing companies or, you know, the association saying we need a target that does this or holds up to this or, you know, fits this machine? I mean, what kind of drives the development of new targets at White Flyer?
It's going to be mainly the machine manufacturers here recently. It's been the machine manufacturers coming up with new ideas to throw targets that has been demanded by the different clubs or the target setters. So I think it starts there, and then the machine manufacturers are, you know, getting on board with them to try to develop new ways, whether it's a new way to throw a standard target or to design a completely different target. And then they come to the clay target manufacturer. We have also worked with the associations in the past. Early on, we worked with the Skeet Association to come up with a new target for them. It never went anywhere, but the associations also, you know, have a voice, and we make sure that that's heard as well.
Gotcha.
Well, I know how you can make a whole bunch of enemies real quick. All you got to do is develop like a mini or a midi rabbit.
Jeez.
You can have all kind of enemies real quick. So
yeah, I don't need that. I have a hard enough time with them things.
So Robert, over the last 3 years, I mean, obviously we had the pandemic, and now things are bonkers with the economy. So have things increased or decreased as far as like target demands? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the demand's down, and I think there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, we all know that the ammunition shortage has definitely hurt the rising costs, not only of ammunition, but of everything, whether it's the fuel to get to the range, hotels when it comes to tournament shooting. You know, a lot of times you have to stay at a hotel for numerous nights. So there's just so many costs that go into it, that, you know, we're seeing effects there. The big shoots look, you know, their numbers seem to be doing pretty good, especially on the sporting side, but your everyday shooting is down. What we have seen is that the for-profit clubs that are out there seem to be doing fairly well. They always had ammunition for sale. They may not have kept as much ammunition on hand that they are now, but they had they had places to buy it from, so they already had those relationships established. And obviously, when you're in business to make money, you figure out ways to make things work.
Right.
Sure. Whereas the majority of the gun clubs across the country are not for profit. We all know there's tons and tons of very small gun clubs that are out there that may be open 1 or 2 nights a week. And those all add up. And some of them have ammo for sale now, but the majority of them don't, whether they don't want to put that money out to, just have it there at the club to be able to sell, or they can't find it. It's still, ammo is still scarce out there. So hopefully we can get past that. I know that the manufacturers are working hard. They're dealing with the same type of challenges that we are, whether it be labor or raw materials, transportation, so on and so forth. So hopefully we can see some light at the end of the tunnel sometime in 23.
Yeah, I mean, you see diesel fuel at $5 a gallon, you're going to have a lot of those issues,
Yeah, definitely. Now, Robert, speaking of like materials and stuff, I know that from the shot shell manufacturers, we've heard everything from scarcity of primers, scarcity of powders, scarcity of lead and other components. Are there components directly attributed to what you guys do and how you manufacture your targets that has been a problem for you guys to get a hold of through this last couple of years?
Pretty much everything you can imagine has been hard from one time or another, whether it's corrugated, lead times being way out, to paint, to pitch. We've had strikes at a limestone quarry that has reduced the amount of limestone that we've been able to get. You name it, and we've been dealing with those same types of challenges that many other businesses have.
And then not to mention, of course, the increased shipping cost, trucking your product across the country, and that doesn't help anything with the bottom line, right?
No, it definitely doesn't. Whether it's bringing the raw materials in, we bring it in by truck as well as by rail. And then, of course, the customers' freight costs leaving our plants going to the gun club or to the retailer.
Gotcha. Passed on. So let's talk about numbers. You say numbers are down. I think one of the things that me and Jason were kind of interested in, like comparatively speaking, and you don't have to give any numbers here on this, but let's talk about targets you sell to gun clubs and shooting facilities versus, let's say, overall retail.
Yeah.
And all the other big box stores where you find targets like that. I mean, where do you see most of your targets going these days?
The vast majority of targets are definitely shot at gun clubs. There's over 1,000 gun clubs in the United States, and that's ranging from one that may have one trap that's open that 1 day a week for 2 hours that I was talking about, to a Sarasota gun club or a Lehigh Valley or LA Clays, the very large gun clubs that are open 5 to 7 days a week. So that is where the majority of the clay targets are shot. But there's a lot of people that go into Walmart or Academy or Bass Pro Shops, to pick up a box of clays or two to be able to do backyard shooting. So the vast majority are definitely shot at gun clubs. But there's a percentage, probably somewhere around the 20 to 30%, maybe more. Obviously, we're not the only manufacturer here in the United States that are purchased at a big box store.
Gotcha. And then what about, like, as far as the disciplines go, can you tell us anything about the numbers of clay targets busted between, say, sporting versus trap versus skeet versus other disciplines?
Yeah, so trap always has and still does make up the vast majority of the clay targets shot at the gun clubs. And with the youth organizations as strong as they are right now, and that's the largest participation with the youth organizations, I think that you'll continue to see that. Trap, you only need a gun that shoots one shell. It doesn't take up much space to be able to have one trap field. So that's the largest consumer, followed by sporting clays, and then skeet. Obviously, the entertainment value of sporting clays, is definitely high, but it costs more too, as most of the people that are going to be listening to this all know all too well. But it's a lot of fun, and you can hoop and holler and have a good time with your friends, or you can take it, to the next serious level, and be traveling all around the country. But even when you do that, and I've done plenty of that, you still have a great time and meet a lot of good people. That's how Sporting Clays is doing so well. The other part of Sporting Clays that is a very good profit center at the gun club level is the corporate events. People definitely would much rather do a corporate event shooting Sporting Clays than they ever would on trap or skeet field. Yeah. Not that they don't do them. There's definitely clubs that do it. But Sporting Clays is the most popular corporate event outing or charity event.
So let me ask you this. As someone that's in trap sales like myself, I tell people all the time, going down to your local box store and buying the White Flyer blackouts is not going to hold up to the extremes when you go putting that machine on a Shundell or, full spring and they don't understand the difference between a pitch target and a bio target and the difference between a trap and skeet target and a Sporting Clay target. Now, you alluded to it a little bit in the beginning of our conversation about how the Sporting Clay targets are, more denser, a little bit heavier to handle those spring pressures. But can you explain the difference between a pitch and a bio?
Sure. So a pitch target is made with limestone and pitch, which would be either petroleum and or coal tar pitch. That's the traditional target that we've been shooting. It was actually introduced in 1888 by Cogswell and Harrison from England. So it's been around for a long time, and it's proven. The blackout target is made of limestone and sulfur. And it's definitely a good breaking target. There's a lot of competitions that use it. It has a black composition to it. So whereas the previous biodegradable target had a white composition, and when the paint would wear off on it, it would be white out in the field.
Right.
And also when you would shoot it, you would see the white puffs come off of it. So everyone should know that you can hit a target but not break it. It happens with pitch targets. It happens with the blackout target. In the previous biodegradable target with the white composition, you would see those white puffs when you would hit it with a pellet or two, and people thought, well, heck, I should have broke it. When we introduced the blackout target, we changed that composition to a black composition with an additive. And it definitely has helped that. You can still hit it with a couple pellets and it not break, but it really now breaks visually like a pitch target. You don't see the white. It's got a darker composition there. To specifically answer your question as far as the targets and out of their machines, our trap and skeet grade targets, whether it's a double A or a blackout standard, we test those at 50 miles an hour as the max speed, which in trap 44 would be your max speed, and in skeet 48 would be your max speed. So those are tested at the factory at 50 miles an hour. The blackout target that is purchased at Walmart or Academy and many other retailers, that would be the same standard trap and skeet target that I'm referring to that's tested at 50 miles an hour. Now, when you step up to the Sporting Clays grade targets, that would be our pitch pheasant or our blackout sporter. Those are tested at 60 miles an hour. So you can obviously see the difference there, 10 miles an hour. I already mentioned that it's 5 grams heavier, and it can definitely withstand the higher speeds.
Right. Well, now I'm gonna circle back to you personally, Robert. I mean, you look at targets, think about targets, talk about targets all day long. Do you still enjoy shooting, or do you ever get to get out and shoot anymore?
I do. I love it. Yep. It's great. I'm going to M&M on Friday for the Delaware River Classic. I grew up right here where I live now, and I worked at Hopkins Game Farm all through high school. There was actually another club called Alexander's that I worked at in middle school. So I've been around it ever since a little guy, enjoyed it, and have worked at several ranges around the country. Like I said, I mean, the Clay Target family is amazing. And I've got 10 and 11-year-old boys, and we enjoy going out, doing a little bit of shooting, getting ready for waterfowl season, just like thousands of parents do each year. So, you know, it's fun.
Well, Robert, I want to go back to talking about the targets, because a thought kind of hit me here. With all the targets that are broken, I mean, obviously we see a lot of debris and litter and stuff across the shooting clubs and so on and so forth. Is there any, like, I don't know, logical way to either reuse or recycle the material after it's broken, or does anybody ever kind of thought about that angle?
Yeah, we definitely have thought about it. And the biggest factor that you have is when you introduce lead there to it. You have that part of it with the from the Environmental Protection Agency side of things that you have to be very cautious of, because then you would need to clean it prior to reintroducing it back into like our production. So it's definitely something that we have looked at. We continue to look at possibilities that are out there, because if we could recycle some of this material, it definitely would be a positive thing. But currently, there is not a way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen clubs that use crushed clays to line their golf cart paths, and we've seen them build hills and stuff out of crushed clays for terrain and feature things. I think one of the most stark realizations is down there at the Quail Creek, where they had the jack links. They got those bio targets everywhere. It seems like it's like a moonscape out there on the ground. It's kind of different looking. So I was just curious to see what thoughts or what actions have been going into maybe trying to recycle or reclaim some of that. But that makes total sense with the lead, because obviously with that being part of it, that's a big no-no. So we get it.
Well, Robert, White Flower gives back quite a bit. I mean, I know you guys have a lot of support for clubs and for the NSCA, and we're truly grateful about that. Can you talk a little bit about the support that they have for the sport itself?
Absolutely. Obviously, we sponsor all of the major organizations. We're the official target of USA Shooting and the ATA. We have a long time working relationship with the NSCA and NSSA, official target of national championships, the World Skeet Shoot, the championship tour. So we're there, definitely to support them. But we also are there to support the youth organizations that have really come on strong. We're the official target of the SCTP. We support the U.S. Clay Target League, YESS, 4-H, and then also the collegiate side of things with those organizations. So pretty much anybody that is supporting us, we do our darndest to be able to support them in one way or another. We can't support every SCTP team that's out there, or every college, but we can go to the top that supports them in one way or another, and try to help from that aspect of things.
Right. Well, I think Chad Roberts said it best. It's not too often that you find a company that loves you to blow up their product. So
right.
we get to have a lot of fun blowing up some White Flower targets. But boy, I sure do cuss at them when I miss them.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Let's see. So last year we ran into your wife, Amy, at the Nationals. And for those of you that don't know or didn't catch the interview, she heads up the registration for the NSCA National Championship, correct?
She does, yep.
Gotcha. I'm sure that keeps her busy. Does she have any hand in what you do, or do you guys kind of keep your own path?
Nope. She doesn't do anything on the White Flower side of things. So we keep that separated. That's why it keeps peace at the house.
There you go. There you go.
Well, I drug my wife into editing these podcasts, and I still get the hairy eyeball every once in a while for that. So I don't know how you got her drug down there to do registration, but she sure does do a good job of it. So we appreciate her too.
Yeah, I was just talking to her at lunch today, and registration is going very, very strong for the Nationals. So that's exciting to hear. I believe she said that every event is up, and overall attendance is up to about 200 shooters. So it looks like it's going to be a heck of a Nationals.
That's awesome.
Big one.
Well, I look forward to running into you down there. Robert, is there anything we're forgetting, anything we're missing, anything you'd like to mention?
No, we certainly appreciate your support and offering this podcast. I know that it is something that shooters look forward to listening to when time permits, whether they're traveling down the road or as soon as you release it. So thank you guys for putting this on, and we look forward to continuing to support. And we'll see you guys at Nationals.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you for that, Robert.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you for your support. We greatly appreciate you guys for sure. So, well, hey, listen, Robert, we're going to let you run, get back to the family, and like I said, we'll definitely catch up with you here in the end of October.
All right, guys, you all have a good evening.
You
Thanks,
too.
sir.
Take care.
Well, Sean, I knew that Mr. Crow would be a wealth of knowledge, and he sure is.
Yep, and they've definitely got a lot going on there, and hats off to everybody at White Flyer for what they do and what they support, how they help the sport grow, and we're just glad to be a part of them.
For sure, absolutely. It's kind of interesting history, man. I've been around for that long.
Yeah, it is.
Over 100 years.
And the materials they use and stuff, and that's always just kind of neat to hear about because you don't really think a lot about what's in those clay targets.
No, it's just pull, bang.
Yeah, right. Well,
Then-
you hope it's that good.
Well, no, it's pull, bang, and then it's, it's whether or not it's a lot of cuss words.
It's either
or,
woohoo or it's dang it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with dang it. Hey, listen, we got a couple segments to get to from both Woolley Shooting and OtoPro. These are both very interesting. It was a pleasure doing these, and I hope you guys are going to find some value in them. Don't worry, they're not 30-minute segments. They're only a few minutes apiece, but they're well worth a listen. So
Yes, indeed.
let's get these kind folks on the phone.
All right, joining us on the phone, John Mattera for this Woolley Shooting segment. John, how you doing this evening?
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. We got Jason sitting in studio with me.
Hey, John.
Hi, Jason. How are
John,
you, Jason?
Oh, I'm doing good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your shooting, where you're from, and if you compete, what class you're in.
Sure. Well, I competed many years ago when IPSC first kind of started, and I was a police officer for about 22 years, and then I went to private security, and I was a bodyguard for a long time, and then got out of that. I had three of probably the greatest firearms instructors in the world. Pat Rogers was my best friend, and he started me on it. He was probably the best carbine instructor that there was. And then I went out and studied with Ray Chapman and ended up working for him at the Chapman Academy out in Missouri for part-time for about 5 or 6 years. And then went out to Jeff Cooper's at Gunsight, and I worked for Jeff. I worked for Gunsight through 2 different administrations. So I got a lot of shooting in there, and I spent a lot of time doing firearms training between the police department and private security and government contracting. I spent most of my time. I was a real range rat. I spent most of my time doing training.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you mainly competed in IPSC?
I shot IPSC. I shot IDPA when it first came out, in the National Tactical Invitational. I think I won a match and came in second back in the. Now this is ancient history. I'm talking. I shot IPSC in the 80s. I went out and I shot the 15-year reunion out in Missouri with Bill Wilson and Eddie Brown. Eddie Brown was a good buddy of mine for many years. He was right up the road from Ray Chapman's place, and we used to go out there and get trigger jobs done while we waited. That's how long ago it was. So I haven't really competed in a long time. Looking to start again, just because I missed it so much. I'm a life member in USPSA and IDPA, so I keep getting the publications, and once a month I go, I got to start doing this again. I started shooting sporting clays. That's how I ended up over at Woolley Shooting Center, and I met Nick and Jonathan, and Jonathan took me out to the range. And I'd done a lot of shotgun shooting, but I didn't do any formal wing shooting per se. And Jonathan got me out there, and they set me up with a nice Beretta. And Jonathan got me out there in the range, and after a little while, I started popping a few clays here and there, and started really getting into it. And not on a competitive level, because I'm that ship sailed. I'm more of a handgun shooter, but just a relaxing way of spending your day. I love it. I truly do.
That's awesome, though. I mean, you're shooting across several disciplines, so that's kind of cool to hear that side of it. So let me ask you this, John. How did you find Woolley Shooting? I mean, were you specifically looking for a shotgun, or did you go in there for a pistol that he had, or a carbine, or?
I went. It's a kind of a funny story. It's about a year and a half ago, and a group of friends of mine, they all said, "Well, we're going to go sporting clay shooting." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great." So I'm like looking through my gun safe, and I've owned a bunch of over and unders here and there. I'm like, I don't have anything really nice. I took an old 1921 Parker side by side with me, and I went out and we did a foursome on the sporting clay range.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was humbling, I have to tell you. And it wasn't the shotgun's fault. It was truly mine. So it was a humbling experience. And I said to myself, this is not satisfactory. I'm going to have to get better at this. So the next week I went in, and I met Nick and Jonathan, and set up a training schedule with Jonathan, and I bought a shotgun off them. They turned me into a real nice shotgun, treated me real well. What I love about those guys is, I spent my life in and around gun shops, and you walk into a gun shop and everybody's an authority. They're all carrying this, the latest in plastic wonder guns, and they know everything, and they have a T-shirt to prove it. You go in there, and these guys are just salt of the earth. They're just two young guys who really know guns. They really try and help you out. There's no pretension. They know their business, and they know shooting so well. They don't have to pretend to be anything else. So right. I kind of really gravitated towards them. And then they have Abby in there, who just started a few months back, and she keeps them in order and keeps all the paperwork going good. And it's a fantastic place to go and do business.
Gotcha. Well, so the question is, did you wind up taking some lessons from John to try to help you with your sporting clay shooting?
I did right away, and that's how I ended up going to the facility all the time. I went out there with Jonathan and not John Woolley. I went out with Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay.
Yeah, and it would have been great to go out with John Woolley, but I tell you, Jonathan taxed me so bad, that was all I really needed. So,
gotcha.
so he got me to the point where I was like, wow, I can do this again. This is pretty nice. And again, I'm not looking to do that competitively. I'm just, that's, if I pick up a handgun or a carbine, I get that competitive juices flowing. I want to just, I have to be perfect every time, because that's just kind of what I want to do. But that shotgun for me is just kind of fun. It's relaxing, pretty neat.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So did they steer you towards a new shotgun other than your side-by-side?
They did. They got me into a nice Beretta over and under, and I was very, very, very happy with it. I'm a Beretta fan from way back. Mm-hmm. Handguns. And I've been to Africa a bunch of times. I do a lot of gun writing. I do a lot of writing for different periodicals through the course. Like I've written for the NRA, for SWAT Magazine, for African Hunting Gazette,
Gotcha.
Dangerous Game Hunting, a bunch of other ones. So I tend to get to try out a lot of different guns. I used to write the Rifles in Africa column for African Hunting Gazette, so I got to take Ernest Hemingway's double rifle to Africa.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And Philip Percival. I shot a buffalo with Philip Percival's double rifle, and I shot a buffalo with Elmer Keats' double rifle. I took Jack O'Connor's rifle to Africa.
Wow.
Once in a lifetime experience right there.
It truly is. But it's funny, but I started writing these columns, and everybody who had these really exotic African hunting rifles seemed to send me emails. Hey, you want to shoot my rifle and write about it? Like, sure, no problem. I could do that.
Twist my arm, right?
Yeah. So they put me into a really nice Beretta, and I was very happy with it. And it kind of fit me right out of the box, which is usually rifles don't fit me. I'm kind of this big guy with short arms. And, either it's too long or it's too short. But this Beretta, they fit it up for me, and it was really nice right from the get-go, and very happy with it.
Well, let me ask you this about your experience with Woolley. And please, no numbers mentioned, but do you think you got a good value
I did.
for the firearm you bought?
I did. Well, I just walked in and they said, this is the gun you want. And it wasn't, they have some very expensive guns there. It was a nice, reasonably priced midline Beretta. Wasn't the most reasonable, and it certainly wasn't the most expensive, but I was happy with it. And through the course of things, it's the new one came out. The one that's
Okay,
really
yeah, that's a
balanced.
694.
Yeah, it must be the 694.
I tell you, I like it the heck out of it. And then you kick it around and you're looking at. I'm doing some research on the gun after I bought it, which is kind of like what I do because I'm kind of a spontaneous purchaser. And I said, oh, these guys treated me right. I mean, they really did the right thing. I mean, you search online prices and they were right in line. $50 or $100 either way. And I'm like, wow, they did the right. And they didn't even know me at that point. That day it was just a guy walked in the door and they treated me very fairly.
Well, and that's always very
happy.
refreshing as a consumer because you walk in, you don't know if you're going to get a good deal or not. But that's awesome to hear that they treated you right.
Yeah, well, again, you go in there and there's no pretentious attitudes. They know their stuff. They know their stuff, and they don't have to prove to you that they know their stuff. They just know it. So it's very refreshing to meet a couple of young people who really have that acumen and that persona about them. I find it very refreshing.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to give us your opinion of Woolley Shooting. Glad you had a great experience, and it's always great for our listeners to be able to hear other people that had good experiences so that they can maybe go to them and have the same type of interaction with them. So we wish you guys the very best this year. I mean, I'm glad that you're getting into sporting clays, and hopefully you're having a lot of fun with that. So with whatever you're doing the rest of the year, you have fun and go out there and bust some birds with that new gun.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. It was my pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
All right, on the phone with us is Halley, and most of you will recognize her from Instagram, Halley Shoots. What's up, Halley?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great, Halley. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me.
No problem. Last time I think we bumped into each other at the Nationals last fall. The last time I saw you. Everything been treating you all right?
No, we shot with her at the night shoot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the night shoot. Yeah, heck yeah.
I was going to say, I could have sworn you guys were there. Y'all did the Dead Pair podcast prelim.
No,
Yes.
I wasn't even thinking about that. All right. So anyways.
You got part of that sentence right. You just weren't thinking.
Yeah, I got too much else on my mind. Trust me. Well, anyways, how's life been treating you since then?
It's been really good. I've actually gotten a chance to shoot a lot more than I was ever thinking I would. I've hit 2 regionals, the U.S. Open, and the World English.
Nice. That's a heck of a list of accomplishments there. Definitely been doing some traveling. All right, so we're talking about OtoPro. What made you decide to go with the OtoPros, and what models do you have?
Oh my gosh. So Grace is really the reason why I decided to go with OtoPro, because she's an audiologist. I already have kind of like trouble with my hearing. I don't know. It's just because I talk really loud all the time or what, but it was kind of a problem. And when I met her at the Nationals, I believe it was last year, the year before, she's an audiologist, and she just had all these answers for me on why my hearing wasn't right and, how we could, work to fix that to where I'm not like screaming at people with my earplugs in. And so I went ahead and got the original filtered earplugs that she's got for sporting clay shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently I got the Bluetooth Phantoms, which are unbelievable.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice.
Yeah, they're incredibly amazing.
That's the ones that Sean and I have, and I don't know. I
don't think I can shoot without them anymore, to be honest with you.
What I was getting ready to say is I don't want to take them out half the time.
Right.
And it's like, I'm getting ready to go home. It's like, well, man, I hear so good with these things.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell some of our listeners, there's a whole process in this thing. So obviously you talked to Grace, you talked to her about what you wanted. What were some of the next steps that had to happen for you to get your ears?
So I was really lucky because she happened to be at the Nationals that time. You basically just have to get your ear molds. So she goes and sticks this little bitty foam thing like all the way down in your ear. Kind of uncomfortable, but it's for your hearing protection. And then she does her little molding and stuff like that. They take it out and they just put it in a box, put your name on it, get all your info, and then they have it sent off. And actually, I talked to her this past week, I think it was, at the South Central Regional, and they're doing a lot of their own manufacturing now. So they may not have to send off the molds all the time. They may be able to just do them in-house.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I had no idea that they were stepping up to do that because that is a lot of work. But I'm telling you, it was so fast. They came back in the mail. I believe it was like 3 to 4 weeks after that. And I mean, it was awesome. Like I got them really quickly and I didn't have any problems, but they digitally scan all of the molds. So they have them at all times and they keep them on file. So there's no like, keeping a weird mold of your ears. So they digitally scan them in, they keep them. And then that way, if you want to order something else, you just pick up the phone and give them a call and they'll ship it out to you.
Right. So, okay. The three of us know that these Phantoms do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one feature that would be your favorite, what would you say that is?
Music, hands down.
Being able to play music while you're shooting?
Yes. And it's weird because you can, I don't know, I like to have music on like when I'm practicing. And I mean, I practice alone a lot. So to have music, like just to kind of keep me going is really fun. And then when I'm shooting competitions, I like to have music on in at least one of the ears. You can adjust them independently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, completely out of it. I can have music in one ear and have the regular mute, or I can have it like the mic turned up just a little bit so I can hear the trapper, what they're calling and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I learned the hard way. So first of all, I do the same thing. I play music only in one ear and I turn it way down. And I learned the hard way. You don't go with Braxton Oliver's taste of music while you're shooting. If you feel like running over little puppies from station to station, that's probably not the right choice of music.
Oh, no.
It gets the blood pumping and, it creates all kind of problems. But no, just something with a good rhythm, good beat, I found helps. But that's just my weird brain.
Well, shoot, with as good as Braxton shoots, I might need to get his playlist.
He does shoot good, but oh boy. Don't get me wrong, I love me some heavy metal, but that stuff was, oof. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject.
Well, yeah, I guess. Everybody, each their own. To each their own. That's what I'm going to say.
For sure.
Well, Haley, so if you had somebody coming up to you asking you about these OtoPros, what would you tell them? I mean, what would you tell them to convince that it's a good purchase, a good investment?
So there's a lot of things you can say about them. And I know that a lot of people, there's a lot of choices when you go to get earplugs. A lot of people can become certified to do the molds and stuff like that and then send them off. The biggest thing would be Grace herself. You don't have a salesperson talking to you about these things. You have a licensed certified audiologist. So she's developed all these other different types of earplugs for different types of things like concerts, or, I know some girls that go to spin class and they can't like listen to all that crazy music because it's like stupid loud in there. And she has a special one for those. She has a special one for like doctors who use weird drills and it's like a high pitched sound, and she's like really gotten that down. So it's just the difference between dealing with like a doctor and dealing with the doctor's salesperson or their administrative assistant, Yeah. So and she's there. She's always available. Between her and Jen, I mean, you can get an answer from them extremely quickly too. Well, and it's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the only thing I was going to add to that is the difference between Dr. Grace and all the other audiologists is you'll see Dr. Grace at shoots, and she goes to not just sporting clay shoots, but hunts and trap shoots and skeet shoots. I mean, she travels all over. She's constantly at a shoot somewhere.
Yes. And
so
actually, I think she just did a podcast with a Meat Eater too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, how huge is that? So she's working with hunters and, all different types of shooters.
I get it, Haley. We're not as big as Meat Eater. You didn't have to, throw the jab. We get it. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my gosh. No, I'm so proud of her. That's so
No, I
awesome.
am too. That is awesome. They are the top dog for anything outdoors podcast.
Yeah, but they don't know too much about sporting clays. Wink, wink.
Ah, there you go. There you go. See, that was a roundabout way of coming back and giving us a hug, Sean. So.
Yeah, the ego is bruised, and now
there's the phone hug.
Yeah, I was gonna say ego is bruised, and now we got a hug. So now we're
right.
good.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Well, Haley, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us. I know we're going to catch up sooner to shoot, and I know Dr. Grace is going to love hearing everything you had to say, and she's really going to appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Haley. Have a good night.
Thanks. Y'all too.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, Jason, what do you think about those segments?
Dude, they're always interesting to me.
I think so. I mean, it's just really nice hearing everyday people talk about the products that we know and love and that we use.
Yeah, it makes it more grounded, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think our listeners appreciate that as well. Hopefully you guys do out there. Well, Jason, what's next on your list? I know nationals are the big thing coming up. We've still got the Pilgrim Night Shoot to look forward to in November. Anything else on your schedule for the end of the year?
Yeah, we have the AFS State Shoot here at Eagles Nest.
Yes, that's right.
Going to be going to that AFS State Championship. That's pretty cool, too. I'm glad they came out with that.
It's a good event. It's definitely a good event.
And then by the time everybody hears this, I will already be on my way back from Georgia for the AFS Invitational.
Yep.
I did qualify for AA, so go down there and see what I can do.
I'll be pulling for you, buddy. Hopefully you do well.
Well, you ought to be there with pom-poms and...
Well, let's not go too crazy with that.
Ooh, there's an image. You need bleach to get out of your eyes.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'll be there in spirit, man. I'll be rooting you on.
I hear you.
I'll be rooting you
I'll
on.
tell Wendell that you just didn't want to come down and have lunch with him.
Yeah, you tell him that. He'll believe that like, yeah, right.
So
Sean doesn't pass up too many free lunches.
Well, all right. Anything else? What are we forgetting?
I think we've wrapped most of it up. This has been a pretty interesting episode. Got a lot of stuff coming in the works, guys. Keep an eye on our YouTube channel. Hopefully some new videos will be popping out real soon. Also, we got a couple nice guests coming up here that we're not going to let the cat out of the bag.
Plus, we have the path.
Yes, the path is coming. Yeah, stay tuned for the path.
Let's not build that up too much.
No, but I mean, I think it's going to be cool, man. It's something that me and you have talked about for quite some time, and I think it's going to be interesting to listen to.
Something we've worked on for quite some time.
Yes,
too.
yes,
So
definitely.
We put a lot into it, and hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. You know, that's our main objective.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
But hey, speaking of why we're here, what do we tell everybody every week?
Man, take people out. Get them out there to the club. Put a gun in their hand. Show them what this sport's about. Take them to a charity shoot. Take them to a tournament. Just introduce people to what we do and why we love it so much.
And show them how much fun it is to blow up those white flyer targets.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
But hey, listen, Sean, until next week.
We can't wait to see you all back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair Podcast is energized by KL Ammo Game Bore US. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Bear Pelt, Negrini, Rhino, OtoPro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, RE Ranger, Woolley Shooting, Folded Wing Apparel Company, and White Flyer Targets.